and I'm carrying everybody on my back, even if they didn't ask, and they're like, what is a psychiatrist who's an influencer, maybe. Whenever people find out that I'm a psychiatrist, they're like, tell me what's wrong with me. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, yeah. And that's part of my recovery journey is that my feelings and my emotions are on God. God is God.
No matter where you are, what diagnosis you have is an image of God. No matter what happens, like, I know that God has me, and I think that gives me confidence to take more risks. Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Kim from Good News Mental Health Podcast. And as we wrap up 2025, I just wanted to kind of share what's been going on in my life and what I have been learning throughout this year. And as you know, that I've been kind of sharing my journey here and there and hoping to inspire you and empower you that healing and reconciliation is possible in your life. But there was a lot of backgrounds of wrestling with surrendering and letting go of my control as well. So this video has a more personal note, and it's not just an episode, it's a testimony. So I hope that you can enjoy. And at the end, I'm going to have some reflective question for you to wrap up your year of 2025 so that you can start with a refreshed perspective for 2026. So let's start with this. Year 2025 helped me to really refine and define and narrow down what my superpower was. So as a Christian and child and adolescent psychiatrist, I thought that I had so many things to do, so many things to share, so many experiences, my personal and clinical stories, right? And there's a lot of gap in mental health and spiritual health that I could just talk about, and it will be endless. But I really realized that we all have one purpose in life, and it's to tell our story and tell it really well. And when I had to narrow down to what my story was, it really occurred to me when I was being a panelist at a Mustard Seed Generation, which is an organization for Korean American mental health. We were kind of talking about our superpower. And I guess it really clarified to distinguish my story from other people because they're Korean American mental health providers in the panel too. It really dawned on me that I had a story of being hyper responsible, being stuck in this transition in my immigrant story because I came to US when I was 10, and also being the oldest of the three, being raised by my grandma who was a Cold War survivor. So there was a lot of responsibility and maybe parenting roles that I had to fill in, especially taking care of my two brothers sometimes. And I said this, I said, I think my superpower is knowing that balance of taking care of other people and also taking care of myself and what's not my job. Like knowing that fine line between serving others out of an overflow of taking care of yourself. Like I have this sense of burden when other people in my life are having problems. I've often felt like it was my job to fix, and I'm carrying everybody on my back, and I'm getting burnt out and I'm bitter and I'm huffing and puffing and they're just offended. Nobody was really happy. And in my journey of figuring out, oh, it's not my job to take care of them. It's not my job to figure out their problems. It's my job to take care of me first so that I can kind of take care of people I'm supposed to take care of, like my kids. So that gave me a lot of clarity. And I think that is my superpower. So moving forward to 2026, I'm really excited. And you'll see changes in my website and my funnel and my videos. And I would love, love, love your feedback on what you can relate with and what you think, because we're in this together. I'm not here trying to prove that I figured it out. I'm in this journey too of healing and reconciliation and wholeness, and so are you. I'm really excited for 2026 with this refined sense of purpose. And it did require a lot of surrender because I want to fix everything and I want to fix it by myself and I don't need anyone's help, but it really humbled me to the core. So I'm really excited. Point number 2 takeaway is the healing journey leads you to a lot of full circle moments. I've been starting to be more vulnerable because I do want to respect my culture. But really, my story is that being raised as an oldest of the three, an immigrant in a new country, in very hands-off parenting, but also Asian values, it really left me with a lot of unmet needs and a lot of scars that I had to kind of work through. And I started to become more honest about this struggle of being hyper responsible. There's a lot of bitterness and resentment. And I had to just really stop doing that for a phase of time and really heal first and to re enter into the space. And this is what I learned about the healing journey because that full circle moment came to me when I was actually speaking in Mustard Seed Generation. When I'm teaching the RPC method, which I use on myself to reflect, protect, and connect with myself, and to really learn how to protect yourself and your feelings and your thoughts so that you can heal. Now, this RPC method led to number one, reconciliation within my own family. I always share this that now, after my healing journey, I can really understand and forgive my parents and my grandparents or grandma for maybe not being present all the time, but I also fully understand that it was difficult for them too. So I can actually protect their intention and effort because there are some things that I don't know if I could do for my kids, like a lot of sacrifices they did. So it really led to reconciliation in my own family and my own relationships, which led me to accepting cultural norms of my culture. There was a period of time that I hated Korean American culture and I hated Korean culture because it hurt me so much. It reminded me of my wounds. But actually, October of this year, I went back to Korea and I actually got to experience the Korean culture as it is, without the scars and without the perspective of wounded child. And that was really interesting because I was able to protect that every culture is trying its best to, pass down the best things that they can offer for their next generation. And maybe it's not perfect. Maybe it never will be. And it was a really healing and accepting point in this healing journey. And number three, I got to enter back into the space of serving Korean American community. And that was something that was really hard for me to do because if they said anything that resembled what my parents said when I was younger, then it would hurt me again and I'll just retreat and I'll just, go into my bitterness and resentment and anger box. But now I was able to serve Korean American community in the best way that I know how right now, which is teaching and sharing my story. And it was really wholesome thing to do for me to be part of that. And I did share that a lot that me being here, speaking to a Korean American is actually a testimony in itself that healing and hope and reconciliation is possible. Now it led to a funny full circle moment of me attempting to make kimchi. If you don't know what kimchi is, it's kind of like a grown-up recipe. Is like a developmental milestone recipe that you try and you have a sense of accomplishment, achievement as a person in Korean culture. And I did that and I got a thumbs of approval from my husband who loves kimchi, especially my mom's kimchi, which is the best. So for me to re-enter and just experience Korean culture in a new way with a whole healed heart, it's a testimony of healing in your heart. And this is what I will say about healing is that there's a lot of full circle moments like this where you're re-entering into space regardless of your past when you're healed and you experience things in a whole new way with a whole new perspective. And juxtaposed to that, healing is not avoiding pain. Healing is not avoiding going back to your past. It's actually revisiting your past after a period of healing and continuing to heal. So let me just encourage you that yes, take your time off, heal just like I did, but don't cut off the possibility of re-entering into that space because you might surprise yourself that you're a little bit more grounded, a little bit more protected, a little bit more connected than you might have been before. Point number three, consistently showing up is better than perfection. This is a really hard for me to do because I had a really strong inner critic that every little step of the way had to be perfect for it to bring out perfect results. And this was such a lie in my head. It always stopped me from trying and it always discouraged me to continue going. But with the help of the nutritionist, therapist, God and my faith and supportive community around me, I started to adopt this idea of maybe just showing up is good enough. And you're kind of looking at me after a few years of trying to adapt and believe in this mantra. And the results are phenomenal. So a lot of times people ask me, how are you so calm? Or how are you so untouched by other influences? Or how do you take care of others and take care of yourself? How do you find that balance? And really, let me just remind you how my life was like a few years back. Is that I started to see symptoms of like physical symptoms of chronic stress like insulin resistance, like missing my periods, and just being irritable through the roof that I was just not a pleasant person to be around. But maybe showing up is good enough. It was really, I couldn't believe that. And I didn't want to believe that because it just felt like I'm copping out on life, that I'm not bringing anything but excellence to the table when it comes to table of life. But when I started to adapt that, I started to realize that finishing is still finishing even when it's not on time. And this is a perfect example. In month of November in 2025, I realized that I finished the Bible in 2 years plan, but I finished it in 3 years. But finish is a finish, and I can totally celebrate that instead of before me would have been like, oh, you finished it in 3 years, not 2 years, and I'll just kind of want myself. But now I can just celebrate and say finish is a finish, even when it's not on time. And to be honest, who's keeping track anyways? So let me just encourage you that consistency is key, more than perfection. And today doesn't have to be perfect, but you're here and you're working your best, and that is good enough. And another area, especially near the end of this year, that I felt convicted to surrender and really embody was the spirit of generosity and spirit of abundance. Because maybe I'm hyper responsible and I like to plan like 10 years ahead for everybody around me and everybody's well being, not having a secure flow of being responsible and having all the checklists checked out is really hard for me. And this is not just talking about money. I do tithe and I do give to charities, but God is really asking me to surrender that and say, what if you went on a cuff, on a whim, and just gave what you feel like is not going to leave you enough? Because I feel like, because I trust that God got me. And this is something that I'm still struggling with and is hard at times. But I also realized that I've been kind of stingy with my vulnerability because I didn't want to be seen as a psychiatrist who's an influencer, maybe. Um, maybe I just didn't envision that for myself in the next 5 to 10 years. But I decided to share my testimony and be generous with my vulnerability. So with that, I have an amazing news. I know that I give a lot of workshops and I'm always evolving my workshops and I really cater to my speaking engagements. But all those recorded workshops, I'm going to be slowly editing them and putting them into my course for free. So whether it was, I recently gave a RPC Method, a Freedom for High Achievers at the Healthcare Leaders of San Antonio. I gave the RPC Method, Healing for Healers for Mustard Seed Generation. So I'll be editing that and I'll be putting in my course for free so that you can access all these workshops that I've done to different audiences, but really catering to the RPC method. So you'll be getting that for free. Now, in the spirit of generosity, I really wanted to share this first module of the course for free with you. So now you can access the first module, which has 5 to 6 videos of the Be Still to Move Forward workshop for free. And I'll put the link in the description below. And on that, you will see a workshop called Beyond Good Enough Workshop. I've done different versions of that, but the recorded version is to community health workers in San Antonio, Texas. So I'm going to put that in the module 1 so that you will have that workshop for free as well. So check out the description box, check it out and tell me what you think. And I hope that it helps you as it helped me. So thank you for walking with me in year 2025. There was a lot of moments of surrender, of letting go of my plans, letting go of sense of security, letting go of thinking that I am responsible for everybody, and also letting go of expectation of perfection for myself. And through that series of surrender in 2025, it's teaching me to give grace for myself and others, is teaching me a spirit of generosity and an abundant mindset. And also is teaching me to have those full circle moments of healing where I'm getting to taste the fruits of my healing journey. So I hope that this encouraged you. And let me give you some reflective questions so that you can kind of take your perspective and your life into 2026. Let me ask you, number 1, what do you think is your superpower based on your story? Everybody has superpower, and this is what I firmly believe is that when you're fully reflected, protected, and connected with your story, you start to find patterns of truth and wisdom that aligns with you and is very personal to you. I hope that you enter into that journey to find your superpower. Number 2, when have you realized and experienced full circle moment for you? And if you want to share that, please comment down below, because I think the more that we hear healing stories and the full circle moments, I think it will encourage other people around us to look for it themselves. So share in the comment below, what was your full circle moment in your healing journey? And number 3, what would it look like if you were able to extend grace for yourself and saying showing up is enough and you don't need to be perfect? What area of your life can you apply that grace filled mindset to? You can comment there below, because we want to hear and keep each other accountable for our healing journey. And healing is only possible not through perfection, but being generous with our vulnerability. So thank you for being vulnerable here. Now, if you listen to this video all the way to the end, I want you to do this. Subscribe to my channel, because every 2 to 4 weeks, I'm going to have this kind of sharing personal journeys. And I definitely have a lot of guest episodes that I will be publishing as well, who's aligned with mending the spiritual and mental health gap. So subscribe and share this channel so that we can all grow together. So again, I'll put the free trial of my Be Still to Move Forward course in the description box, and I'll see you in the next episode.